Hey everyone, welcome to my unboxing of this, the Redmi Note 15 Pro Plus, and first impressions and hands-on with it. So this is a more affordable phone from them, Xiaomi. You can see that we've got some pretty decent specs for what it's going to be selling for. Good battery capacity, it's a 6500 milliamp hours, 100 watt hypercharge, 200 megapixel rear main camera. So let's get this unboxed and we'll take a look at what we get. So if you pick one of these up, it should have this cellophane style plastic wrap around it. Then you know that it is completely untouched. So what do we get from them? Included, it looks like we're going to have a case here. So that's our SIM tray tool. The case is a TPU style one. And this is, it looks like it's black to me. Let's have a look. Okay, so no, gray. All right, nice gray color. It's going to fit it perfectly, of course, coming from the manufacturer. There's a little bit of paperwork. Obviously, we have the Redmi Note 15 Pro Plus 5G there. I don't know why they still add the 5G, because pretty much every phone is 5G nowadays. The 100 watt hypercharger and a Type A to Type C cable. Xiaomi calls this the mocha brown, so it's this fake synthetic-like leather on the back. It's nice, it gives it a bit of a texture to it. We have the Redmi there in silver. It seems to be like an inlaid hard plastic. Speaking of plastic frame around it, but it's a very solid plastic, and they've painted it with this metal-like finish, so it almost feels like it is metal. Buttons have a good feel to them. So what looks like 4 cameras on the rear is not 200 megapixel main camera that does have optical image stabilization. This is just a space filler to make it look symmetrical. And if you had the Chinese version, then that would probably be our 2.5 times optical 50 megapixel zoom camera. But we get a downgrade here with the global model. An LED flash and a 8 megapixel. Yes, 8 megapixel, doesn't shoot 4K. Ultra wide. Ouch, they're still using that sensor, so they're just using parts from the old parts bin, it seems like it. Now with our front-facing camera, that is 32 megapixels. We have an optical fingerprint reader. I don't like the positioning of it. I find it to be too low. Should be about here, but hey, it seems to be working all right, which is good. HyperOS is running here at 120 frames per second, and I've forced it to 120 hertz, which is the maximum screen refresh rate with this AMOLED screen here. Now, it is a 6.83 inch, it's 1.5K crystal res AMOLED is what they're calling it with their marketing terms. Down the bottom here, we have a Type-C port that does not support video out, dual loudspeakers, dual nano SIM, and yes, there is eSIM support, so that is very good. We also get 100 watt hypercharge, as you saw from the charger, but 2.25 watts reverse charging. There is, with those dual speakers, 400% volume boost, and we'll test that later in this video. Dolby Atmos high-res support with this too. And when we look at the back of it here too, I wanted to point out that this is a raised edge that sticks out a little bit. Now, the weight of the phone, it's not too bad. This mocha brown is 208 grams, so it's not the lightest, and the thickness of it is 8.47, which is a little thicker because of this synthetic leather style they have on the back. So the frame being plastic isn't too much of a downside, really, I don't think. It's okay, it does feel very nice in hand. And I believe that is a microphone here at the top. I don't think it's an IR transmitter. And all up, the build quality, it is not bad at all considering the price point. Now, despite this being a more affordable phone, it does have a very good display in it. So the specs of the display, 120 Hz as I mentioned. Now brightness, they do claim that it can get up to 3200's peak nit brightness. I've not been able to measure that. You need to be playing HDR content, which I did try, and I couldn't seem to get any more. I'm getting just over 1100 nits, which is still perfectly fine. It hasn't been sunny here, but you can see that when you're out and about, it's going to be a clear display. Now the touch sampling rate, the instantaneous touch sampling is 2560, so it responds to touch really well as long as you put it on the 120 Hz and keep it off the 60 Hz mode, which I found that sometimes on that 60 Hz mode it can feel a tad bit laggy at times, possibly down to that Snapdragon, the 7S Gen 4 there that it does have. So it also does have with this Gorilla Glass Victus, which is Victus version 2 on the front. Again, very good to have HDR support with this, Dolby Vision, and 3840 Hertz pulse width modulation. I'm a bit sensitive to flicker of AMOLEDs, and I can tell you that I don't see it with this screen at all. So it is a great screen. Now we have Hyper OS that is on board, and I'll just show you that we haven't had any updates yet. Hyper OS version 2 based off Android 15. Oh, okay. Hang on. Why not Android 16? I do hope that's coming, and we don't have to wait a year for that before we do get the later version of, or the latest, should I say, of Android. Now, I haven't noticed any bugs or anything in the UI in my initial hands-on here. The only thing is that sometimes I felt and seen a little bit of slowdown. For example, when I've been in a demanding game, you close it, you go out, and I can see things kind of just chug along, and it gets a little sluggish. That's the only real thing I have picked up on. It does seem to just pop up randomly. It's not like when you first power it on and you get a few little lags. I've even noticed it sometimes going into the gallery when I have the whole view. It has been a little bit choppy initially. Now, there is one thing that really bugs me with this phone, and that is that when you first get it and set it up, they have these recommended apps that they want to try and get you to install. They make money off this because they make the deals with the brands, the developers of these apps, and that's where they can make a bit of income. Which is fine. Okay, I get that they do this. It's a more affordable phone, but at least pass the discounts onto us, which they do claim. Now, you've got Select All. You've got no Select All, so Unselect All, I should say. And if you have to go and remove the stuff you don't want to install, you've got to go and just untick them all. No problem, right? But then there's actually some stuff on there that it won't let you untick. So it forces this bloatware upon us to be installed. And there is quite a bit. I've intentionally not uninstalled it all because it used to be a fast way with Xiaomi that you could go in, and this is when we had MIUI, you could go into apps, well, settings, apps, and then just bulk uninstall. It's not as easy to do that now, so you have to go along and manually, of course, just remove them. And you want to do that actually from the apps drawer here. So you can see Amazon Music, there's Auto Dock, games, there's quite a bit of junk on this, and it's really getting kind of just a bit ridiculous. They do need to tone down on this, and as I said before, I understand that they're trying to save a little bit of money here with this. So that, a little bit of rant out of the way about it. Now, there's more of it there. You can see that bloatware, but this as well, adverts coming up in the system apps. So this here is just me selecting the wallpaper I'm currently using, and it puts a Google AdSense ad in front of me. Come on, Xiaomi, that is not cool at all to have this. So a few things to point out: that the battery life is very good, 6,500 milliamp hours, screen on time of about 14 hours if you use it at 60 Hertz. So that is really good. Checks out. It's an efficient chipset that doesn't really get that hot because it's not entirely powerful, not super powerful at all, in fact. So great charge time, about 33 minutes to fully charge it, which is fine. I couldn't run an Antutu for you. Benchmarks, it's blocked the server. I couldn't do a 3D Mark stress test either. Again, blocked. For some reason, Xiaomi doesn't want us doing that. Something they've been doing for a while now. But I can tell you that their UFS 2.2 storage, it is quick, as you can see from these results. And I do have, with my version, 512 gigabytes worth of that storage. Remember, there is no micro SD card support, so you cannot expand upon the storage. And then looking at our multi-core score of that Snapdragon 7S Gen 4, you can see that it's of adequate performance. It's low end. It's nothing amazing. It's more of just like an efficient chip that is okay, this chipset, for general mobile kind of use, but it won't be a gaming monster. Speaking of gaming, there is a gaming hub where you can have all your games in here, and there's a few little settings you can go along and tweak to try and just squeeze out the best kind of performance or battery savings. But let's launch here, Wuthering Waves. So I recommend just go with the default settings, and I set the frame rate to 60 frames per second. Don't put it on the high visual settings because the Snapdragon 7S Gen 4 does seem to struggle a little bit, and you're going to get a lot of drop frames. So keeping it to what is just the default really and changing it to 60, that seems to be fine, but you still do see now and then a few frame dips, and that's just in some of the areas when things load up and you look about, you're going to see that. Onto calls, haptics, and those dual loudspeakers. They got a 400% volume boost, and yes, they are really loud. I'll give you that sample shortly, and I'll crank it right up. In fact, it should already be, You can see there, 400% does label there. Now, the haptics is nothing special. It's all right. It's little pulses you feel there, and that's fine, I think, for this category and price of phone. Voice calls seem to be fine too as well. I haven't had any issues. So the sample I'm going to play now, it is going to be, yes, at that 400%, and it is very loud, as you'll hear. Over to the cameras now with our Redmi Note 15 Pro Plus. So we do have with the front-facing camera 60 frames per second, but only 1080p, not at 4K, unfortunately. Now with the rear main 200 megapixel camera, we get 4K 30 only. There's no 4K 60. I do find that to be a bit disappointing. It's a software limitation because the hardware can certainly do it. We have electronic image stabilization. The video quality for 4K 30, it does seem to be alright. I can't really find anything wrong with it at all. And we don't have an optical zoom camera that we can swap over to, like the Chinese version does, a 2.5 times zoom. We don't get that here with this model, the international version, the global version. I'm applying digital zoom now. That is 2 times looking at this part of the castle wall, with a window with the cannonball hole below it. This is the ultra-wide video, so that 8 megapixel sensor cannot shoot 4K video, unfortunately. It can do 1080p 30 and 60 frames per second. The quality is definitely the worst for video out of the 2 rear cameras. As for stills, well, I didn't have my typical amazing weather that I normally have. A bit rainy, digital zoom, this is not that great. Even though it's 200 megapixels, I expected a bit better. Here is our ultra-wide, the weakest cameras I pointed out with video. It's absolutely terrible. The main camera right now can take an okay photo at times. Now, portrait shots, a little bit disappointed. It's quite soft, like it's out of focus for some reason. Indoors in bright environments with the 200 megapixel main camera come out fine with plenty of detail. Some decent looking background blur that you get from it, and it's got autofocus. This is a portrait shot. Stitching is alright. The shot here of Wapo shows a lot of details that you can get out of this camera. And then low light is just poor. Very, very bad indeed. Really dark looking shots. I don't know why they've come out like this. There's almost something wrong with it. So there we go. That is the Redmi Note 15 Pro Plus 5G. First impressions are so far that the build is okay. We really are missing out compared to the Chinese version. The fact that we've got a downgrade with no optical zoom camera, it has to be all digital. Disappointing, there's no 4K 60, there's no 4K with the front-facing 32 megapixel sensor either, and I believe the hardware can do it, so it's a software limitation on the 60 frames per second, and then the 4K on that front camera. Now that optical fingerprint reader, it is working just fine. The positioning of it isn't too bad. One of the best features of the phone is the screen. It is a very, very nice 120 hertz. Now they claim the brightness can go up to, 3200 nits. I haven't been able to measure that, but I can confirm that it is bright and it's a great screen. Good touch response. Another downside is that it's full of bloatware. Lots and lots of bloatware. It's getting worse. Every single new release seems to just cram on a little bit more. They keep pushing those limits. There are adverts inside system apps, which is not cool. Don't like that at all. And sometimes it can feel just a little bit laggy. All up, it's an okay phone, but a little disappointing, I feel.